What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're doing well, and congratulations to the Florida Panthers. They win Game 7, 2-1 last night, as they clinched their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Sergei Bobrovsky, 23 saves. Florida played a much better game, obviously, than the games 4, 5, and 6, which, of course, they lost. Sergei Bobrovsky, the guy they had the entire playoffs and the entire season. First games 1 through 3, he was dominant. He showed in the games 4 through 6, but in Game 7 played very well. Stopped Swen for 24 shots. Florida played a lot better as well. You know, they looked better offensively. They got a little more pressure on Stuart Skinner. They looked a lot better defensively. They were arguably the best defensive team in all of hockey. You know, they scored mightily in games 4 through 6. They were a lot better defensively, only giving up 24 shots on goal. Tim Reinhart, Herbert Verhaeghe with the goals. Verhaeghe scored one early. Then Edmonton had a bit of a defensive lapse, and were able to tie it. Not like only like a minute or two later. Then this game was tied, and then late in the second, Sam Reinhart scores a goal, made it 2-1, and that ended up being the game winner. Reinhart, who had 57 goals in the regular season, the second most in the entire league besides Austin Matthews, I think at 67 or 69. He wasn't having a great series, only had like 1 or 2 goals all series, but he came for even covered for Verhaeghe had a great year in the regular season and was having a good playoff. I think he had like 6 goals in the first 3 rounds, only had like 2 in his playoffs, and he scored one as well. So Panthers win the Stanley Cup. They're an incredible team. They have one of the best top 6 in the league, and they also have a solid bottom 6. They're very good offensively, very deep offensively. They are incredibly good defensively. Great goal thing. Sergei Bobrovsky's a phenomenal goaltender. You have a Hall of Fame caliber coach, Paul Maurice, for the first time after a 30-year career, wins his first Stanley Cup. It was a very well put together team. As angry as they are that the Rangers lost to them, they're the one team in the league that was better than the Rangers. So sometimes you got to your cap. So phenomenal year for the Florida Panthers. Also phenomenal year for the Edmonton Oilers. At one point this year, they were the worst team in the NHL. Early in the season, they make the coaching change. They bring in actually a former Rangers coach who was their AHL coach the last years and filled in briefly a couple of times when their coach had a COVID issue or something the last couple of years. With Gerard Gallant, Chris Malbuck, they hired him as their coach. He completely turned the team around. At one point, they went like 15 games or whatever it was, got themselves back in the playoff picture. Ended up making the playoffs and having an incredible run all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Go down 3-0, then come all the way back and force Game 7. So great year. Connor McDavid, of course, went to Conn Smythe. You could have probably argued Sergei Bobrovsky. Obviously, McDavid didn't win. You gotta remember, it's not like most sports, like in the NBA. It's just the finals. MLB, it's just the World Series. NHL's the entire playoffs. McDavid had the most assists by any player in NHL, so breaking Wayne Gretzky's record, and he almost broke his points record as well. He's an amazing player, the best player in the sport. I didn't mind that. But for Edmonton, great year. No expecting them to be here going into the year, and probably the 20-game mark or so. Well, they were the worst team in the league. They had just lost to the Sharks, who were the worst team in the NHL this year. It looked like the team was done, but they made the coaching change. Chris Malbuck did a very good job. And they were in Game 7 of the Cup final after, at one point, being the 32nd best team in the league. So, incredible Cup final. Florida Panthers take it home in 7 games. We had training NHL actually broke not too long before puck drop last night. The Iowa Senators acquired former Vezina Trophy winner goalie Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins. In return, they send the Bruins goalie Janusz Korpisalo, Mark Kastelek, the young forward, and their first-round pick this year. This is a good trade for the Ottawa Senators. Ullmark's a very good goalie. He's always been the guy. He was a backup for a while, became a strong backup. In Buffalo, he's always been split when he's been in Boston with Jeremy Swayman. Last year had an incredible year in 49 games. It was 46-1 for 189 GA and 938 save percentage. That led the league. He ends up winning the Vezina Trophy. So we did struggle a little bit in the playoffs. This year, he played 40 games. He was, again, split with Swayman pretty much right down the middle. First strong year. .257 GAA and .915 save percentage. He's always been a solid goalie. He's always been good. Not sure if he's a guy that can give you 55, 60 starts a year, like an Igor Shesterkin or a Jake Ottinger or a Sergei Bobrovsky or a Thatcher Demko, a top guy in the league like that. But give him another solid goalie to kind of take the heat off him. Another goal that can play 30 to 40 times, and you can limit under 50 starts. He's a really good goalie. The Ottawa's had a big hole in net for a while now. Of course, they had Craig Anderson for all those years. Towards the end, Anderson kind of fell off a cliff. And you've kind of been cycling through different goalies. And you tried out, Linus last year. Obviously, you gave that big deal to Matt Murray a few years ago that blew up in their face. And this is definitely a major upgrade for a team that spent a lot of money in the offseason last year. We thought could finally jump back into the playoffs. Didn't end up happening. This is stepping in the right direction. For the return, Boston gets Korpisalo. He's always been a decent goalie. He was in Columbus for a while as a backup. Overall, he had some good. Yes, he was up and down. In his rookie year, in 2016, he had 2.6 GAA and 9.20 save percentage in 31 games. With 16-11-4. And he had 2 AA and 9.05 and battled a lot of injuries next 2 years. In 2020, as the backup, he had a good year. 37 games, had 2.6, 9.11 save percentage. Then in 2021, he struggled in 33 games at a 3.3 GA and an 8.94 save percentage. Had a really bad injury all year in 2022. Columbus last year started in Columbus, was really bad. They ended up letting him go. Kings pick him up. And he played really well. Only played 11 games for the Kings, but had 2.13 GA and a 9.21 save percentage. Ottawa picked him up this year to be their starter. Wasn't great. 3.27 GA, 8.90 save percentage, but looks ugly. Didn't have a great team in front of him either. So he's overall, numbers don't look great for his career. Overall, in 10 years in the league, so he's got 3.06 for GAI and a 9.3 save percentage. He's a guy, if he has a good defense in front of him, I think he's a solid, like, 1B, like a backup or a 1B, okay starter. He does not have a good team in front of him. He's not a very good goalie. But Boston's, they even use a little bit of work, definitely in their solid Pikachu on the back end for sure. But Drew Swayman had a very good year this year. He's blossomed to one of the best young goalies in the National Hockey League. Had a phenomenal postseason. Was one of the only goalies that even hold a candle to him in the postseason. Of course, he was struck on the New York Rangers and Sergei Bobrovsky before the Panthers. It's not close. So he'll be the backup. Swayman was split with Ullmark, but I think that's a good situation. 40 starts this year for Ullmark, so I forget if Swayman played every other game or if he had an injury, if he had like a minor guy play a game or two here and there, but I'm sure they'll probably have Korpisalo stop 35 to 40 times and Swayman to do the rest. I think it's a very good situation for Linus Korpisalo. I think he can be a really good backup for Jeremy Swayman for the Boston Bruins. So, and it's another piece to get back more Catholic as well. He's played 2 full seasons in the league. 2 years ago in Ottawa, had 7 goals and 11 assists in 65 games. Had 5 goals and 10 assists this year in 63 games for Ottawa. So hasn't really worked out. He was a 5th-round pick back in trying to see where he was drafted. Doesn't tell me, unfortunately, but he was a 5th-round pick a bunch of years. 2019 he was drafted, 5th-round pick. And hasn't really turned out so far. In the 144 career games, only got 14 career goals and 25 career points, but still only going to be 25 years old. You got for Boston to develop. Although, Ullmark's a better goalie than Korpisalo. This guy hasn't done much. You're got to pay Swayman probably a whole lot of money. You still got to go and get another really good defenseman, maybe another solid guy for the bottom 6. You really don't need to be paying a top-end money for a backup goalie. And look, backup goalie, I think, is a very underrated position in hockey. I think having 2 legit good goalies, you can't have, even if you have one elite one, you can't. The second guy can't just be garbage. He's going to have to play at least 20, 25 times. And if there's injuries, it could be 30, 35 times. Like, for example, the Rangers have Igor Shesterkin, who's amazing. Remember, their number 2 guy was Jonathan Quick this year. He's a guy that's a former two-time Stanley Cup champion, kind of really strong year for them. And so, and remember in the first half of the year, Igor was a little bit inconsistent, and without Jonathan Quick, Quick was able to kind of save them a little bit in the first half. So it's very important to have two goalies. The Bruins the last 2 years had Ullmark and Swayman. Even not this year, but the year before when Ullmark was the Vezina Trophy winner, he had historically great numbers. Jordan Swayman that year played 40 games. I'm not sure about 40. He played like something like 32, 35, maybe even 40 games and played well for them. Yeah, he actually started in Game 7 against Florida in the first round last year. So it's having to, but no reason to repay Ullmark considering the way the roster was built. And I think Corpus saw with what Boston has in front of them, will get the job done quite fine as a backup. So I thought it was a fair try. But Boston got enough back. He had a decent going to back up Swayman, a young player who still not sure about in the first round pick. Mets closer Edwin Diaz, of course, he's been suspended for 10 games for sticky stuff violations. He in their last game against the Chicago Cubs, he came into the game Mets up 5-2, coming in for the save. Of course, with the sticky stuff crackdown MLB put in place about 2 years ago, he when a reliever comes into the game, they check them, make sure there's no substances, not too sticky, and all of a sudden the umpire checks Edwin Diaz, calls over his other fellow umpires, and they throw him out. I don't understand this rule. To me, it's so stupid and so just inconsistent. I get why it's in place. I do. For years, it's always technically been a rule, but it was never enforced. Pitchers like, oh well, it's not going to be enforced. I'm going to use all these different things, and so now they've been enforcing it, and but all Diaz has on him is rosin. The rosin bag is sitting on the pitcher's mound. You can't expect the guy not to use it if it's on the mound. And all guys do, but there's a certain amount that it's so dumb. And and because the rosin, when you get sweaty, which happens very easily, you're playing, it's late June in Chicago. It's pretty warm. Right here in Connecticut, it's been 89 degrees every day. These guys are working hard. Diaz, they're coming out, they're throwing 100 miles an hour. It's professional baseball. You're going to get a little sweaty. Your hands are going to get a little sweaty. You're gripping the baseball. So what he did, the pitchers do, they use a little dirt to get a better grip along with the rosin. And the fact that you have some umpires who will tell a guy, go wash your hand or change your glove, and if they do it, you let them play. If they're if they cause a problem, they're like, well, why should I have to do that? Which I don't blame them. They get thrown out, or someone's get the hell out. It's so stupid. It's happened 3 times to me. It happened last year to Scherzer. Then you get thrown out. It happened to Drew Smith last year too, and now it happened to Diaz. Drew Smith last year, he got caught. He said after the game, I did the same thing I do my entire career, and he hasn't done anything different since then, and nothing. It's so stupid. MLB has to clarify this rule. What is the rule? Can you use rosin or not? If you can't use rosin, then get the rosin off the freaking field. You can't tell pitchers don't use rosin, but have the rosin right there on the field. It's so freaking stupid. I don't get it. This rule is so. I get why it's there, and if it's enforced correctly, I don't think it'll be a problem. If you made it clear and it's enforced correctly and the right way, should be a problem by any means. Also, a 10-game suspension automatically, that's a little harsh. I get it for a starting pitcher, but that's only 2 starts, maybe 3 starts for them. But for a reliever, that could be 8. That could be 8 appearances for them. If it happens, it happens to a reliever, especially a closer, that could be 7 or 8 games. It's it should be 5 games for a reliever. Because you're not going to miss more than 5 games for a starter. You're technically missing 2 or 3 games because you only pitch every 5th day usually. So dumb. I don't understand it. And it has to clarify the rule. Shame on them, honestly. Shame on them. Before I finish out, let's do my NBA and NHL off-season series. Continue that. Towards the back end of that, at least for the basketball portion, which we're going to start with. First team we're doing today is the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers finished 4th in the Western Conference and, of course, lost in the first round, again losing in 6 to the eventual Western Conference champion, Dallas Mavericks. They need to break this team up. I'm sorry. It's not going to work. They've been trying to George and Kawhi for years now, going on, 5, 6 years now. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. They've been to the conference finals one time, never to the finals. Been second round once. Kawhi's extension about to kick in. He's about to make over $49 million. Paul George has a $48.7 million player option. Of course, the Sixers are looking at him. Other teams have been sniffing around. Heard the Knicks being thrown in the hat. There's rumors he might opt out to resign or leave. He might opt in and force a trade. There's that. James Harden and Russell Westbrook are free agents. Look at Mason Plumlee and Brett in Boston. We're still have a first-round pick, but only a 46th pick in the draft. They have a non-tax middle and the biennial exception. Still a ton of money. Only have a little over $18 million before the second apron. Because, they have a couple of really big contracts in Kawhi Leonard and for now, Paul George will see what happens with that. They should honestly break these guys up. I'd honestly trade Paul George. George is a very good player. He's got really good hands, a really good shooter, good scorer, very good defender, but hasn't been great in the playoffs. He's been a little bit better since the playoff year, but he's never been a guy who's supposed to be a perennial all-star. He's not been that kind of guy in the playoffs. And Kawhi's hurt every year. He's been able to stay healthy in the regular season for the most part the last couple of years. But every year in the playoffs, he gets off to a great start. Clippers look good, and then he gets hurt and he misses the rest of the playoffs. She might be one of the worst superstars ever. The guy who's always hurt. And his 3-year extension worth almost $50 million is about to kick in. He's estimated to make $49.3 million this year, and then 50 and 50.3. That's not great. So I think it's time for them to break this team up and because this team is old. Kawhi's gonna be 33. He's always hurt. Paul George's gonna be 34. He had some injury concerns. Harden's going to be 35. Russ is up there as well. Norman Powell's going to be 31. You have PJ Tucker, who's washed. He's going to be 39. Russell's a $4 million player option. He's going to be 36. They got to get a little bit younger. This team is not a championship level team. Now you've extended Ty Lue for 5 years. Gets freaking $14 million a year, complete overpay for a mediocre coach, overrated coach. Let's see, Ballmer. You're funny. Can't get any worse than Donald Strong, obviously, as a basketball guy and of course as a person, but she's tried, but it really hasn't worked out. Break this team up. It's just not gonna work. But up next, we're going to go to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That will be the last team I cover for today in the NBA. Timberwolves had a great year. Kind of came out of nowhere. We're the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. We're all the way to the Western Conference Finals. You beat Phoenix in the first round. You beat Denver in 7 in a great series in the second round. We're going to lose to Dallas in 5 in the conference finals. Honestly, they should trade Rudy Gobert. Look, Anthony Edwards is a stud. So going to be trying to make sure he's a stud. Could be the future face of the league. He's got his extensions with the pick in next year. That's worth about $42.3 million. Currently, town extensions is about to kick in. He's estimated to make about over $49 million next year. On that 4-year, $221 million extension. His estimates next year: 49.3, 53.2, and 7.2, and a player option 28 or 61.1. And then you have Gobert. To me, Gobert and Kendall to me are very overrated. Gobert's due $43.8 million next year. He's got 2 years left. Look, I know he's a 4-time defensive player of the year, but I don't think he should have won this year. And you say, oh, he should have won this year. Yes, he still has 3. The guy gives you nothing offensively. Also, he's terrible in the playoffs. He's not the same defensive player in the playoffs, and is even worse offensively. Talent. He's a good player. Very good shooter for a big, good scorer, but terrible defender. And you got Gobert to $43.8 million this upcoming season. Then you have a $46.6 million player option, and then he hits the open market. To me, they should move him. What would you get back for him? I don't know. I think you should get a good amount back from him. You have Naz Reid who can do the job of Gobert. They're very good rim protector, good shot blocker. He's much better offensively, much better scorer. He can shoot the ball a little bit, and he can get the job done. When it comes to rim protection, Gobert's probably a little better rim protector, obviously, than Naz Reid, but Naz Reid can get the job done. Tim Wolves, they have 26th pick in this year draft, and Wolves 37. Only really key free agent, keys, little lip stretches, Kyle Anderson. You have a taxpayer, mid-level. You're over the second apron. I mean, they need a legit second option next to Anthony Edwards. Towns, to me, isn't that he's a fine, third option. To me, he's an overrated player. But, then, I'm keeping that next to Edwards. And, but I think they trade Gobert, get some pieces back, maybe some picks back, recoup some picks that you gave up for him, get some little better depth, and maybe give yourself some financial room to maybe go and get a legit second option next to Anthony Edwards. Let's start with the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to finish up the Eastern Conference today, and then we'll start out in the Western Conference. My intro rating starts July 1st. NHL draft is Friday. The NBA draft is actually tomorrow, so keep your eyes on that. So here is the Hurricanes. I mean, they're the Buffalo Bills of the NHL. They come in stacked every year. They're always overhyped and lose in the second round every year. The only time they went to the conference finals was last year, and they got swept by Florida. They got $20.8 million in cap space. It's hard to pinpoint what they need to do. I mean, this year they were pretty good offensively, had good depth, or again, very good defensively, had a really good goalie in Frederick Danielson. You took care of business against the Islanders yet again, winning in 5 games in the first round, but losing 6 to the Rangers in the second round. You have a lot of good players on this team. Whereas Aho is a great player, so Svechnikov's a great player. Kuznetsov's a guy you brought up a deadline. You have a lot of really good defensemen, Slavin, Brucker, he's going to be 39. But, you're going to lose some pieces. You made the big move for Jake Gunsel. Now he's going to be a free agent. You make the big move. It's almost a big movie, maybe. Brett Pesky is a very good defenseman. He's going to be a free agent, so you might lose a couple of pieces. This was the year for them. You had a really good team this year. You went for the kill. You give up half the world for Jake Gunsel. You went out and you make a move to also bring in Evgeny Kuzmetsov from the Washington Capitals. That you topped off your already good offense with 2 more really good players. You already had the prowess on defense. You had the goaltending. You had the good coaching, Rob Brindamore, and now. And you lost in the second round. The Rangers are really good. They were better on the Hurricanes in the regular season. Well, so you went down 3-0 in that series, and you, again, a choke job at home. You're up 3-1 in the third period at home. All the momentum at home, and you blow it. So, hard to pinpoint what they need to do. I'd say try and re-sign Gunsel if they can. I say try and reach as many guys as they can and just try and build the best team you can next year. That's all I can really do. Well, next, the Boston Bruins. So Bruins lose in the second round, of course, last year, or I guess 2 seasons ago. They had the best regular season ever, only to blow a 3-run lead to an 8-seed Florida Panthers team in the first round and to go to the Stanley Cup. This year, used to Florida again in 6 games for Panthers win the Stanley Cup. So, with Boston, I said before, they really need another really good defenseman. You have good enough offense. Pastrnak is a stud. Marchand is going to be 36. I can't stand the guy, but he's a really good player. Charlie Coyle is a good player. Pavel Zacha is pretty good. And they need another really good defenseman. Charlie McAvoy is a very good player. Hamis Lindholm is pretty good. Carlos solid. I like the kid Lowray. Mason Lowray is only going to be 24. He's a good young player. He's making nothing next year. He's really good, but they need one more really good, solid defenseman. Also, I think they need one more guy in that bottom 6. Obviously, Pastrnak is a stud. Marchand's a great player. Troy Quill's a very good player. Pavlozaka is pretty good. Their bottom six is Trent Frederick's okay. Other than that, there really isn't a whole lot. So Bruins, I'd go out and get a solid guy, solid, like third line forward, and then a really good solid defenseman as well. Also, I think you got to throw a bag at Jeremy Swayman, your goalie. I'm assuming that's the plan after you trade away Linus Ullmark. That's the Bruins. On to my New York Rangers. You probably heard me say it. They need another really good goal scorer. Obviously Panarin's a great player. Mika's a great player. Quarles a great goal scorer. Hardwick is very good. But they need another really good goal scorer. They need a top wing for sure to pair with Mika, Zibanejad. For a bunch of things that's been thrown out there, maybe Alex Tuck is the name that's been thrown out there. They got to get somebody. Only have $12.8 million in cap space. To me, I'm hoping they trade Jacob Trouba. That guy is a freaking turnstile. The problem is he's due $8 million next year. He's got 2 years left on his deal. You got to find a way to trade him. Have to pick if you have to, buy him out, do something. Because he cannot be on the roster next year. Now, Ryan Lingham's a free agent. I hear a lot of fans saying that they should not re-sign him. I go back and forth. I think Lingham's a very good player. He's a very good, solid, old school stay-home defenseman. The problem is because he's doing all the dirty work, that other guys who are more offensively minded, like Trouba. Well, Trouba not anymore. And Fox were doing. His body breaks down a little bit easier. So if they do end up giving him like a long-term deal, it could be like a Dan Gerard 2.0 guy, for a while. The guy's an all-star caliber player, a top defenseman in the league, and eventually, like that, his body will just fall apart. So I'd be a little leery on the contract give him. If they can give him if they can limit him to like a 3-year deal for a fair salary, I'm okay for him to come back. Probably he's always hurt, so I'm a little worried about giving him a 4 or 5-year deal. So if they can, if they can replace him with a guy just as good, not better, I'd be okay with that as well. Another rumor is are they going to give Shesterkin, who's only got one more go on his deal, and a big extension? Maybe. He's got another year left. He's due $5.6 million next year. He's, to me, the best goalie in the league. I'm not against that, but definitely got to get yourself a stud wing for the top line. You got to figure out. You got to get Jacob Trouba off the team. You got to make a decision on Ryan Lindgren, and also got to make it whether or not you want to extend Igor Shesterkin or not. That's the New York Rangers. Now, also about the Florida Panthers, of course, just come up with Stanley Cup. So, what do they need to do? Well, the priority number one should be to re-sign Sam Reinhart. The guy's turned into an absolute stud. He had 28 power play goals this year. I think in the regular season, the most in the National Hockey League. He had 57 total. Guy's turned to an absolute stud. You have to re-sign that guy. He's an absolute superstar. Gotta bring him back. You have $20 million in cap space. So you had the money to do it. That should be a priority numero uno. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot for them to do. Look at this offense. Barkov is a superstar. Kachuk's a great player. Ben's a good player to have covered for Hager. You get Booster Ryan, Evan Rodriguez. Defensively, Ekblad's really good. Forthing's turning into a stud. Mikkola had a really good year this year. Anton Lundell is a really good young player. I just try and keep the band together. I don't see why you do really anything else besides that. I think Tarasenko will be free agent as well. I'm trying to bring him back. But you gotta resign Sam Reinhart. Gotta be your first player for sure. And maybe add one more guy for your power play because your power play really struggled in the playoffs. Last but not least, then we close up the show. We're gonna put the San Jose Sharks. I mean, what don't they need? The team is very bad. There's a reason they were the worst team in the NHL, but they get number 1 pick. And they're getting that kid Philip Rainey, who's supposed to be a superstar. So they have a lot of money, $32.7 million. You have to see what they do with that. There's not a whole lot here. Your starting goalie is Vitek Vanacek, and your other goalie is Mackenzie Blackman. I remember when he first came down, I thought he was going to be a star in his one injury that kind of killed his career. Still only 28, but he has been great. They gotta get a lot better defensively, and they could use a immediate upgrade for a goalie. I'd honestly probably trade Vanacek and Blackwood. Both have a year left on their deal. I'd trade one of those guys, and then I'd really try and upgrade their defense. And obviously, you just pick up Arthur Goodrow from the Rangers, send him a little more waivers. Thank you, Chuck, for doing that. The Rangers don't have to waste money by buying him out. He's not gonna give you a whole lot offensively. He's just a solid fourth line, nothing more. But he's a very good penalty killer and a lot of playoff experience. 1-2 cups. He's had a lot of success in the playoffs. Not a bad player for $3.6 million. A little much, but he's a good player that they claim off waivers. But yeah, this team sucks. I trade Vanacek or Blackwood. Try and get a young player or two back, get a draft pick or two back. And then please get some better defense because they play as bad defense as I've ever seen. But that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.